I'm glad you're ready because we're live.
Oh, good.
Good morning. It's Ginny, Jared, and Tim. And we're going to talk about software updates or what? Brushing your teeth?
Yeah, you should brush your teeth every day. Not for your own sake, for the sake of your colleagues.
We were trying to think of an analogy. So, and brushing your teeth seemed to be a good one.
Yep.
It's something you got to take care of. And there's some days if you're out partying or whatever.
Yeah, you get home late, you just like, I just want to go to bed, deal with it tomorrow. But you know what happens if you get a cavity while you're sleeping? You know, it's like software updates. You got a firmware update that you should apply, and for whatever reason you postpone it. You're like, I'll take care of it tomorrow, and then overnight, that's when you get breached. So just it's important to stay up on your software updates and keep them updated.
And speaking of updates, I forgot to tell you to sign up for our newsletter right here. dstech.net. It's under me right here. The security at dstech.net I'll tell you about at the end of the video. And also drop your comments because we have swag, you know, like t-shirts and stuff. Cool stuff. Anyway, so software updates. When we came on live, my software update popped up, but I'm like, no, we got to do this right now. So,
Right.
So is it a bad idea to put them off?
Well, you know, there always is the weight of business efficiency versus security, right? So if you're jumping in a meeting right now and your WebEx or Zoom app says, you know, update right now, and you're like, I'm already a minute behind. Is it that important? Probably not.
At that moment.
Yeah, at that moment.
But do it as soon as possible.
But right, as a business, as a person, updates should definitely be prioritized in your life. You know, those updates are a lot of times they're not necessarily giving you new features. They're fixing important security bugs that they found.
Most of them are security updates where you don't even change what the things look like or how it functions. It's just the program will be the exact same after the update as before, and that was a security patch. And that's what most software updates are.
Okay. What about when we have massive updates, like a new operating system, stuff like that?
My personal thing is I like to let other people kind of guinea pig the new operating system. I don't like to just jump into new Windows 11, let's get it right away and be the first people to get it and the latest and greatest, because a lot of times you might run into issues that haven't been found yet. So I like to hold off a little bit on those and let other people kind of test the waters, and only once it's finally been vetted and been proven to work with all business apps, make that leap. Because a lot of times with the whole operating system, you might have business apps that are working well that they don't work with the new operating system yet. So you really want to kind of be careful that everything's compatible with the new version before you do a major upgrade like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even, you know, with updating the software, you have little programs like our video software here, you know, that prompted for the update. But most of this software can be updated automatically for you when you're not using the computer.
That's magic.
That sounds pretty convenient, right?
So how does that work? I mean, how does that work for like my PC at work here?
Yeah, so we have an agent. DS Tech has a remote monitoring management agent. I believe that's what RMM stands for. Maybe I mixed up the managing and the monitoring, but it's RMM. And that tool is indexing, analyzing your computer. How up to date is your Windows, but it also does other programs like Adobe, Java, your different browsers, and it's keeping those up to date as well. Doesn't do everything, but it definitely covers a lot of the heavy hitters, particularly your Windows operating system, so it can keep those updated. There's nothing more annoying than getting in the morning and signing in and seeing the please wait.
And then your computer takes an extra 20 minutes to start up while it installs the updates that should have happened automatically overnight while you were sleeping.
Right.
Yeah, that is annoying.
It is.
That happens on my laptop, and I'm glad it didn't happen today.
Yeah.
But
laptops,
I was in a hurry.
Yeah, laptops are notorious for that because they're shut down and stuck on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, because then you boot them up and it's time for updates, right?
Right.
Okay, so tell me again, why, all the important reasons why software updates are important. I mean, do we need them for the cybersecurity insurance, stuff like that? I mean, is it on there?
Yeah, a lot of times.
We did have that discussion this morning.
There is a forced march going towards that now too, where it's like, You know, if you have a bad driving record, is an insurance company even going to carry you? It's kind of what some of these cyber insurance companies are doing, where it's like if you're not changing your passwords and you're using this old security, you don't even have antivirus, they're probably not going to insure you because you're such a liability risk to them. So it's, you have to at least become some compliance before you can even get to that. So that's going to be a big part. And part of it is having up-to-date software and firewalls and showing that you're using security and all of that. So.
Yeah, specifically cybersecurity insurance, they're pushing towards vulnerability management, which means using other tools to make you aware of what vulnerabilities are in your organization. And vulnerabilities come in the form of being behind on updates. So if you get an Adobe Reader update, and if you were to look in like, oh, what changed on this? Like we talked about earlier, it's not going to say, oh, new whiz bang feature. It'll probably just say security fixes.
Yeah.
And they're important because we don't want, a lot of times they'll help with things like a nefarious or malicious, maybe a malicious PDF coming through. It can help kind of filter some of those things. Or if it's an Office update, it can help with security concerns in Word documents, or how Outlook opens your email and reads those things for you. So they're extremely important. And yeah, cybersecurity insurance is going to get to the point where they'll just drop you if you're not aware of your own vulnerabilities.
I look at security as like, you're only as strong as your weakest link kind of thinking, because if you have a software that has this big security hole and you have all this other stuff in place to be secure, it's still the attackers are gonna use that security hole and get in. It's like if you have a really nice mansion, but you leave one back window open for whatever reason behind all the security gates and guard dogs and stuff, there's still a window that's open for someone to get into. So you just still wanna make sure all the holes are patched and up to date on all the software, even if it's something you use sparingly, like your Zoom meetings once in a while or your Adobe. Those are really common avenues for hackers to kind of get in and stuff like that, because they're really common apps. So the more common an application is too, the more important it is to update it, because more people have it, more people are going to be attacking it as well.
So what about firmware updates? What are those?
Oh, that's a good one.
Should we
I
do
don't
them?
know what that is.
So we kind of like the software updates. What's this firm stuff about?
So basically you have, an appliance that has code that's written to actually run that appliance itself. And that code itself also needs to be updated just like software code, because there can be updates that, to like your physical firewall, for example.
Is that like on my phone?
Yep.
Yep,
Phone
phone updates, things like that, because those are actually updating at a hardware level, at a coded level, that you're not really touching, but it's still a security risk for hackers to exploit and get into your system, either like the back way through or other ways like that. So you want to always update your firmware too. And that's just a big thing. And a lot of times you put it off more than a software update, because usually it involves restarting the computer or restarting the appliance. So usually you lose services for a little bit of time while you're doing this firmware update. It can be a little tricky sometimes. You're scared because if you do it wrong, you can actually, they call it brick the device. It's less chance of happening nowadays than back in the past. But if you do it wrong, or you take the power off while it's updating in the middle of the update, the device can completely just be destroyed. So you want to make sure you do it properly, so that the devices don't get damaged.
Yeah.
Are those automated?
No, they are not. We don't want it. Yep, because that'll take down the business typically if you're applying firmware updates. So it has to be planned. It should be done, because that's a vulnerability as well. But usually you're using individual vendor tools. So if I have a Dell computer, I'll download a Dell update tool to apply the firmware for me. It will identify your laptop's behind on firmware updates. Do you want us to reboot and apply it? If it's a firewall, you'll log in and see, oh, I'm on version 12.7 and I need version 12.8.
Oh, is that the little down here in the right-hand corner where it says it has all these little
It might say like Dell command or something like that, specifically for Dell. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's not something that you even necessarily need like once a month even to analyze as an individual, but probably once a quarter to twice a year, you should be at least looking at your heavy hitters, your firewalls, your routers, your servers, trying to apply firmware updates to those things.
Routers, oh my gosh, does
cameras,
anybody?
door appliances, everything's got firmware on it that can also be updated too as well. Sorry, what were you?
That's okay. I was just thinking about like at home. I never log into my router.
No, and I don't often either on mine. I honestly probably update it maybe once a year.
Okay.
But it is important.
But if you log into it, it'll probably tell you, hey?
Some too, yeah. Like I know the Netgear routers are okay about.
Some of the newer Linksys ones too, like the Cisco Linksys, whatever that used to have that you log into them, it says your version's this, and you can just hit apply update. But
Yep.
fair warning, when you do that, you're gonna lose all internet connectivity while it does its thing and reboots. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't cut the power.
yes,
Don't
ever take the
don't
power
stop
away.
it. Let
Yeah.
it do its thing, right?
Mhm.
Cool stuff. Okay, so this month is Cybersecurity Month.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about updating your software, which is one possible hole,
Mhm.
right, in your
Mhm.
business. We talked about passwords twice because it's so important. I mean, that's like your first line of defense, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
And what was our fourth topic?
The multi-factor with
The
your
multi.
passwords.
Oh, yeah, 2 password topics, updating your software, and I don't remember. I'll have to look. Anyway,
Good
go
stuff.
back. It was good. Go back and go over those videos. I'm sure we'll still be covering it because there's a lot to cover on this stuff. I have lists and lists of topics about taking care of your cybersecurity, taking care of your data, keeping it safe,
Yeah.
you know. So,
I'm thinking, in summary, kind of 2 key takeaways from this are: 1, you need a way to know in your organization where you are with your updates.
yeah.
Am I up to date? Am I behind? Are the updates not working?
Mhm.
Where am I? And then kind of step 2, or I guess the second point, just being, don't ignore those pop-ups and the prompts for updates.
Mhm.
There's business efficiency, so if it's interrupting a meeting,
Yeah.
but if you log in and it says, "Hey, I have updates," try to click yes, try to let it go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or let somebody like DS Tech.
Yep. Tell your IT guy.
Yeah.
Tell-
Or your IT guy. Yeah.
send us a support ticket, helpdesk@dstech.net.
Mhm.
Security at
So you want
dstech.net.
an assessment of your environment
Exactly.
too. You can take a look to see and give you a rough
Perfect.
idea of how everything is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just say, I want a free assessment and email security@dstech.net. We'll help you out. So, and we help your IT guy out too.
We'll take on the burden of his daily updates.
Yes, his shoulders
Yeah.
will get much lighter.
Oh my gosh, he's got enough to do, or she. So, all right, make it a great day, and we'll see you next week.